Hello, we're going to be cooking some cream puffs. And today it's a basic eclair dough. It's called pâte à choux. And it takes very simple ingredients. And there's just a few basic steps you have to follow to have perfect cream puffs, okay? So don't be intimidated by it. First of all, we're going to start, and these will make about 8 to 10 little cream puffs. We're going to start with 2 ounces of butter, and what I'm using is a Country Morning blend, which is margarine and butter together. 2 ounces butter and 1 cup of water. And we'll go ahead and put that on the fire and bring that to a boil. Okay, while we're waiting for this to come to a boil, we'll go ahead and get our chocolate sauce ready to go. Our chocolate glaze, which is called ganache, is going to have 1 cup of whipping cream, and we'll bring that to a boil. After we bring the ganache to a boil, just a real light boil, take it off the heat, and we stir in the chocolate. And pastry bags are really easy to use. Okay? It's not going to be hard. All you have to do is you have to get used to the pressure. So what you do is buy one. I have a coupler in mine. That way I can take the tips out. This is a little coupler. Otherwise you can just put this tip straight in the bag. So I put this in here, and then I'll screw it on. Now usually eclairs and cream puffs are made with a round tip, about the size of your thumb, or my thumb. And I'm going to do a star tip because I like to. For the pâte à choux dough, the eclair dough, we want it to get the butter all the way melted. Okay, so we don't want to leave any butter in there because we're going to have to incorporate it all into that. Okay, got a couple things going on at once. These are really easy things to do, and you can do it for a dinner party. You can do it for bridal showers. And there's other things that you can use these little cream puffs for. While we're waiting on that, let me show you what they look like. Cut off the top. This one has a little hole in it, but that's a little mistake. Cut off the top, and you can fill it with anything you want. You can fill it with a chicken salad, an egg salad, with whipped cream, with pastry cream. And all we do is just slice it off. When you slice it, you want to take out all of this little spongy dough. And that's just the basics of your cream puffs, which is the same as the eclairs. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put 1 cup of chocolate. See, I'm not going to measure this, but that's because of my chocolate. Put 1 cup of chocolate into our ganache, into the whipping cream. Take it off the heat after it starts to boil, and whisk it in. Okay, we'll let that sit there for just a minute, and then we'll stir it again. Okay, now our pâte à choux is ready to be completed. Okay, to this we have 2 ounces of butter, 1 cup of water, and 1 cup of flour. Now you're going to stir this vigorously. Better with the wooden spoon, but we'll do it with the spatula right now. Okay, now you don't have to have a mixer to make this, but I make a lot of these at work, and to save time we use a mixer. So, since I use a mixer when I use it, I'm going to do it now. Okay, from this point, after you've incorporated all the flour into this, you want to make sure you don't have any lumps in there, okay? We're going to add 3 eggs to this, and that's all there is to this dough. Now, if you want to do this dough with, say, a chicken salad, at this point, you can add your eggs, and then you can add cheese, grated cheese to it. Say half a cup of grated cheese, whatever kind you prefer, Swiss, Gruyere, or whatever your favorite is. Okay, Okay, I'm going to use my dough mixer here. And then put the eggs in one at a time, okay? And then let them beat just a little bit. You want to incorporate the eggs into here, and you don't want the dough to be so hot that it will cook the eggs. Okay, it's just about the right temperature. Okay, we'll go ahead and add the other eggs. Okay, after we get it to this, after we get the dough ready, we're going to put it in the pastry bag and pipe it onto a greased baking sheet. Now, I forgot to tell you to preheat your oven, so if you haven't done that, go ahead and do that now. Your oven's going to be at 375 for 30 minutes or until your cream puffs are golden brown. Okay, when you use a mixer, you need to stop it before it's all finished and scrape down the sides and scrape your beaters, okay? Always do that when you're making a cake, when you're making icing, anything, so you get everything mixed well. Okay, this is a very sticky dough, and when you use it, you'll want to wash everything you use it with. Okay, now we're going to put it into our pastry bag. To start with, we're going to fold down the pastry bag so we don't get it all over the top, or hopefully. I usually do anyway, and I've been doing it for a long time. Okay, then we'll check on our ganache, our chocolate glaze, and see how it's coming. The chocolate glaze is really wonderful. You can use it for any number of things. As you can see here, we've poured it over our cream puffs, and we've also dipped the tops into it on this one. Here we dip the tops. We dip some strawberries in it. You can dip any kind of fruit that you like to. And you also can make an icing out of it for cakes. It's good just like it is, or you can add butter to it. You can put it in your mixer, get it going, and add, say, to 1 cup of ganache, 8 ounces of butter. Makes the lightest, most wonderful icing. Okay, let's just get going on a little bit of this here. Alright, start with, I've already greased this cookie sheet, or else you can use parchment paper. And there's a couple of different ways you can do this. You can either, you see this is a pretty big tip we have. You can either hold it down like this, which will make one a little bit bigger than that. Or you can bring this around. See, there's nothing hard to this. And do it like that, and that'll make one like this. Okay? Let's go ahead and make a couple more of these. And what I'm going to fill these with is with a chocolate whipping cream that has espresso in it. Now to whipping cream, you can add Grand Marnier, you can add rum, you can add Kahlua, any flavor that you like. You can add just plain vanilla. Okay, our ganache is almost ready, so I'll show you the consistency of that in a few minutes. Now, this little swan here, let me show you how to do one of these real quick. That little swan, it's just a little cream puff bigger than that. That what did I do with the bag? I cut the top off of it to make the wings. See there? Let me show you with this one. It seems not really good. One of them will do anyway. Okay? I just cut the top in half. After I cut the top off, these will form the wings. Alright? Now I'll show you how we make the little head. Really simple. A lot easier than I thought. Okay, if you don't have pastry bags, you can use parchment paper, form it into a cone. It's a little bit hard to show you since I don't have any parchment paper with me, but you don't have to buy these. Okay, can you get a shot on this right here? This is going to be his head. Now I'm not really perfect at making these yet, so I have something in my tip. Then you want to bring his little beak down. Now these will cook faster than your little cream puffs. So I found that out last night. I burned mine. See, just make it like a S, a backwards S. Add a little beak, not too exaggerated. And then that will cook in 10 minutes or so. Okay, and then we'll stick that onto here like we did this one. And then in here, all I put was whipped cream that I added powdered sugar and vanilla to. And then I just got a pastry bag with a star tip on it, a small star tip. This is a big one right here. And just squeezed it in there. Really simple. And it looks great, doesn't it? You can put an eye on it with the chocolate ganache that we're making. Or you could even make a chocolate swan if you want to use chocolate whipping cream. Or you could use cocoa powder over it, or you could dip it in chocolate. We're going to go ahead and set this in the oven. We've got our oven temperature at 375. This will bake approximately 18 minutes. But since our rack isn't fitting in here, we'll do TV cooking. Okay, now let's look at our ganache and see how it's coming out. Okay, sometimes if you don't whip this in while it's still hot, then you get little lumps in it and it won't congeal right. So if it does that, you can set it back over the fire over low heat until it's together, because you don't want to burn your chocolate. Okay, since our sauce is a little bit thin, and I wasn't measuring it because I left my chocolate in my car today, and it got melted, and then I put it in the cooler and it was a big blob. Okay, we'll start our whipping cream. And the whipping cream that we used in these is, see here it is right here. Chocolate, which is the cocoa, and we used some instant espresso powder, which I just found at the grocery store. I'd never used it before. It has a wonderful taste. The cocoa, you want to make sure you always sift your cocoa. Otherwise, you'll end up with lumps in your whipping cream that you don't like. Now you can use whipping cream for all kinds of things. You can use it to top pies, which is what I do where I work. We use it, all kinds of flavors in it, from cream de menthe. We also use Kahlua, strawberry liqueur, we use several other flavors, mostly on our cream pies and silk pies. You can also use whipping cream to frost cakes with. You gotta watch out though when it's 100 degrees. Nothing works. Okay, we'll go ahead and start whipping some of this, and I'll show you how we fill up those little puffs. Okay, for the whipping cream, I'm going to use my little wire whip. And I'll whip it around a little bit. Okay, now, you've seen how we did the swans, and all we did was did our basic cream puff, cut that in half, made the little, you can put these any way you want. See, I have done them like this, little wings, but you don't have to do them that way. You can do them where they're going out. It's hard to imagine wings when they look like that, but they really do work. You can add a little dot of eye with the chocolate ganache. You can dip your strawberries in it. You can dip any fruit you like. The strawberries make an excellent garnish for something like this. If you want to fan your strawberries like this, I don't have an extra one or else I'd show you. What you do is you get your knife, you cut all the way down to almost the bottom, little bitty thin slices. And then you take it and you fan it like you would a deck of cards. Okay, that makes an excellent garnish. Have that and maybe a little slice of orange that you want to twist. Looks beautiful. Let's see how everything's going. Okay, I let my chocolate boil, so I'm not sure how it's going to do. We'll see. Okay, before we get this all the way whipped, we're going to go ahead and add our espresso powder, our cocoa, and some powdered sugar in the Mondo size. Okay, and then we're going to this, you could add some Grand Marnier, but maybe 2 tablespoons. I don't have any, so I'm just going to use a little bit of vanilla. You want to add all this after the whipping cream is a little bit thick. And you add all the rest of the ingredients. And then when it holds together, it's ready. Now you don't want to whip the cream too long because it will turn to a butter-like consistency and be no good. Okay. We're going to use a star tip to pipe it out. Okay, our whipping cream is ready. These pastry bags you can buy at restaurant supply stores to squeeze out softened butter. That looks great. If you want to have a dinner party, you know, just put a little bit of softened butter in there, and then not too soft or else it won't hold its shape. Alright, after we load our pastry bags, see again we fold down the collar so we don't get all over the top. The reason you do that is because when you squeeze on it, it has a tendency to ride up in the bag. So, what we're going to do is twist the bag. We squeeze all of our stuff down and then twist the bag. Left-handed people twist that way, right-handed people twist the other way. Okay. We'll imagine that this is our little swan that we already had the neck for. And do that. Okay. And then we could do this and this, and then we put the little head in there. Let's see if I have an extra head. Oh yes, I happen to have one that I burned. Okay, so you see what not to do. Alright, then you could sprinkle powdered sugar on that. You could dip that top in chocolate. Now when you get these cream puffs and you cut them in half, you want to make sure you take out this dough. See the dough in here? It's got a sponge-like quality. And it doesn't mean that these aren't cooked. What it means is that you just have to take these out. That's just the way that these products are. Eclairs a lot of times are the same way. Now we do eclairs the same basic way, except that we just make them long, about like that. All right. Now this top came apart because these got a little bit wet, because these are some I made yesterday. Okay, and then we're going to put that on top of there. And you can use vanilla whipped cream. You can use chocolate whipped cream. Whatever flavors you really like. You could use cream de menthe in your whipped cream and cover that with chocolate. That's an excellent one. You could just sprinkle powdered sugar. If you don't have a sifter or something, you know, that people usually use, you can use one of these to sprinkle with. A little tea strainer. It works quite well. Okay? Alright, let's look and see how our chocolate looks now. Okay, it may have recovered. Okay, you want to make sure that when you do your ganache, you don't bring it to a boil, that you get your milk, and after your cream comes to just starting to boil, you take it off the fire immediately. We'll put this one on this plate, I think. And then, after you take it off the fire, then you put your chocolate in, and you want to whisk it around really good. Now, these have been sitting in the refrigerator for a while. They're best to serve while the chocolate is just barely warm. You want to just warm it up a tiny bit. Now, when you want to use this chocolate, maybe you want to dip cream puffs in, or you want to, we use it to cover cheesecakes, like a Oreo cheesecake or a chocolate chip cheesecake. You want to just drizzle that. You can put these on individual plates, then drizzle that over. You don't want your chocolate quite so hot because it might melt your whipping cream in there. You can, you want to heat up your chocolate if you're going to use it for dipping, or if you're going to pour it. Just heat it up very gently over a real low fire so that you get a nice shine to it. That's what gives you the shine on a chocolate glaze. All right? Now, if you want to also, you can use strawberries in these. Those make a nice little dessert. And then I just took the top and I dipped it in there, and then I put it on here. I didn't take the whole thing and dip it, just the top. Okay, so there you have how to make cream puffs. It's very simple. The recipe is just a basic recipe with 2 ounces of butter, 1 cup of water you bring to a boil. Then you stir in 1 cup of flour. Then you get 3 eggs, 1 at a time, and you can do all this by hand. Just, gives you good muscles. You can do the eggs 1 at a time, stir them in well. Now, if you don't have a pastry bag, this is not a necessity. It's a luxury, really. It's very nice to use these. It makes it quick and easy and beautiful. You can get a tablespoon and drop it onto a baking sheet, into a greased baking sheet, one large tablespoon at a time. Just make little dollops, and those will come up and they'll be rounded, which is perfectly fine. So you don't have to have these tools. They just make it really easy, and don't be intimidated by these. All you need is a pastry bag and a tip. You don't have to have these little couplers. I use these because I change tips a lot, and that makes it easy. Okay? I've enjoyed cooking for you today. Thank you very much.
Cream puffs. 2 ounces butter, 1 cup water or milk, 1 cup flour, 3 eggs. Bring the butter and water to a boil and remove. Stir in 1 cup flour and let cool a few minutes. Add 3 eggs, 1 at a time. Pipe cream puffs on greased baking dish. Bake in oven at 375 degrees for 30 minutes until brown. For the chocolate sauce, 1 cup whipping cream, 1 cup chocolate chips. Bring whipping cream to a boil and remove. Stir in chocolate chips until well blended. For the chocolate espresso whipped cream, 1/2 cup whipped cream, 2 teaspoons instant espresso powder, 2 tablespoons cocoa powder, 1/2 teaspoon vanilla, 1/4 cup sugar. Whip 1/2 cup of the whipped cream, add the powders, vanilla, and sugar, and whip until stiff peaks form.